For over 100 years, this face has stared out at us from the past. I mean, we've all seen it, the funerary mask of Tutankhamun. It's just this incredible masterpiece of gold and lapis lazuli. It's world famous. But recently a pretty controversial question has popped up, and it's reopening a case that honestly we all thought was closed. And there's really no debating its significance. I mean, from the moment Howard Carter's team uncovered it way back in 1925, this mask became the symbol of ancient Egypt. It's a treasure that's recognized literally all across the globe. It's supposed to be the absolute peak of a pharaoh's power and art. And there it is. That's the question that's kind of shaking up the entire world of Egyptology. What if the face that we have associated with the boy king for a whole century wasn't actually meant to be his in the first place? Okay, so to really get why this is such a bombshell, you have to appreciate where this mask fits into history. It was found in King Tut's tomb, on his actual mummy. And for that reason, it's always been considered his. It's not just some random artifact, it's a core piece of who we think he was. But that belief, that thing we've held onto for so long, is now being challenged. There's this controversial new theory that's been getting a lot of attention, and it basically suggests that some of the physical details on the mask, well, they just don't add up. So what is this new idea? It's being called the reassignment theory. And the core idea is this. This absolutely stunning object was originally made for someone else. And when Tutankhamun died unexpectedly because he was so young, it was quickly modified and sort of repurposed for his burial. Now, it's really important to remember this is a hypothesis. It's not a proven fact. But the stakes here are incredibly high. If this theory turns out to be right, it doesn't just change the story of one object. It could completely rewrite our understanding of the whole royal succession at the end of what's known as the Amarna period, which was just a super chaotic time of massive political and religious change. So, if you're going to make a claim that big, you need evidence, right? Well, the people who support this theory say the proof is actually hiding in plain sight, right there on the mask itself. So let's kind of put on our detective hats for a minute and check out the clues. The very first piece of evidence that has raised a lot of eyebrows is something you might have looked at 1,000 times and never even noticed. The mask's ears. They're pierced. So why is this such a big deal? Well, in ancient Egyptian art, pierced ears were a thing you'd see on children, and you'd see them on royal women. But for an adult male pharaoh like Tutankhamun, it was really, really unusual. And that led some people to ask, was this mask originally made to look like someone else? Okay, the second clue points to actual physical modifications. Some researchers argue that if you look really, really closely, the mask shows signs that it might have been altered after it was first made, which would suggest it wasn't created in one go for just one person. And this leads to a whole new timeline for the mask's history. The theory goes something like this. It was first created for another royal, maybe a woman, or even another pharaoh. After they died, and then with Tut's sudden death, artisans had to scramble and quickly adapt this priceless object just for his burial. Which, of course, brings us to the next big question in our little investigation. If the mask wasn't made for Tutankhamun, then who was it for? Who was the intended owner? So two main names come up in this debate. One is Nefertiti, the famous queen, and the other is a really mysterious figure named Neferneferu-Aten, who might have been a female pharaoh who ruled for a very short time. But, and this is a big but, the royal family tree from this era is a total mess. It's really tangled. So these ideas are highly speculative. They're possibilities, not solid conclusions. But for every theory, there's always a counterargument. And the case for the mask belonging to Tutankhamun from the very beginning is simple, it's direct, and it has been the mainstream view for 100 years for a very good reason. And here it is. This is the most powerful piece of evidence. It's all about archaeological context. The mask was found inside Tutankhamun's tomb, placed securely over the head of his mummy. For most Egyptologists, that's it, case closed. So let's just break it down. We've got two competing ideas on the table. On one side, you have the reassignment theory, which is based on interpreting these little physical clues on the mask itself. On the other side, you have the traditional view, which is based on solid archaeological context and a century of academic agreement. One is a serious but disputed hypothesis. The other is the accepted mainstream position. So where does that leave us today?
Well, instead of a clean, definite answer, we're left with this absolutely fascinating historical debate. The evidence isn't quite strong enough to totally overturn the traditional view, but the questions that have been raised are so compelling that you can't just brush them aside.
And you know what? Maybe that's the real takeaway here. The golden mask of Tutankhamun isn't just some static object sitting behind glass in a museum. It's a dynamic piece of the past that reminds us that history is this living, breathing thing where even our most famous symbols can still hold deep secrets and make us ask new questions. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If an object this famous, this studied, can be at the center of such a fundamental debate, what other secrets are just waiting to be uncovered in museums and historical sites all around the world? What other stories are out there that we just haven't learned how to read yet?